extremist Islamists in this country.
What you're doing there, though, is dangerous because you're conflating people in this country who are Muslim with Islamist terror and with the
no, I'm not.
political
I'm saying that our government
ideology.
is scared of offending
because they're two different things. The Muslim vote does not support this either. They don't want to see Hezbollah on the streets of London.
What you're about to see isn't just a controversial protest. It's a chain of moments that exposes how enforcement, politics, and fear quietly intersect. And once those pieces line up, the implications become impossible to ignore.
That footage has been going viral all day long, particularly on X. It is shocking. There's people defending putting up gestures symbolising Hezbollah, supporting Palestine Action, supporting many banned prescribed terrorist organisations, including the one that isn't the IRGC, which is Iran's Islamist terror group. What has gone on?
We won't see that in the newspapers, most probably. That is what people have got the ump with in this country. The two-tier... The police have seen...
just so people know, you mean the pro-Islamist regime protesters, right? Just because I know a lot of our audience are Iranians watching.
I've seen a video. He was spitting and doing Nazi salutes. Now, we also have had people call for jihad on the streets of London. Not one arrest for that. Yet again, you see some of the scenes from maybe a Tommy Robinson march and people are ripped off the street for very little. It's such hypocrisy. It's a joke.
And the next staple... What happens when you see those Unite the Kingdom rallies by Tommy Robinson? You have Sadiq Khan, you have Keir Starmer, you had the Home Secretary, all writing on X that there will be no such hatred allowed in London. This is despicable. Why not the same for these people?
Well...
Are you pandering?
A panel reacts to viral footage showing extremist gestures and aggressive behaviour.
Are you pandering?
The Labour government took an awful lot of heat for prescribing Palestine Action, you will recall, but actually that was the right thing to do. And they did send the police in, and the police cracked heads and made mass arrests for anyone saying that they said they supported that particular prescribed terrorist organisation. Mass arrests were made.
Here? Because your party leaders did put out messages against that rally, which was widely peaceful, and we've had multiple of these Palestine rallies that are just constantly spewing hatred that is terrifying the Jewish community, and the Prime Minister has got nothing to say. Where's Sadiq Khan?
Well, and again, I think the government will prescribe the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, quite rightly too. I think the police must do a lot more when they hear those slogans that we know to be anti-Semitic, when they see some of the symbols, and certainly some of the things we've seen in the footage there. The police need to go in much, much harder and make arrests.
The Home Secretary could
but I would
down on this, couldn't she?
I think maybe that is the point we're at, because I think actually, London is being clogged up week after week.
Even supporters of protest rights acknowledge a line has been crossed.
Clogged up week after week, and it does rather suggest they're not really caring that much about Gaza, which is what the original deal was. We've now got a peace deal in place, and the war has stopped in Gaza, and yet they're still demonstrating. So the police need to be far more literate about what counts as anti-Semitism. They need to be more aware of what these different revolutionary groups are, and they need to go in and disrupt and arrest them when they are on the streets.
Anna, Suella Braverman was right, wasn't she? They call them hate marches all that time ago, wasn't she?
Well, definitely this one is absolutely a hate march. When you've got people going down the street, waving Hezbollah flags, chanting Intifada, is that how you pronounce it? Intifada, thank you, and spitting. That is absolutely a hate march, and I want to know, where are the police? Why aren't we seeing the police arresting people?
Well, if Suella was right, why did Rishi Sunak, the former Prime Minister, sack her?
If Gaza fighting has paused, why do these marches continue unchanged?
I can't remember the details around that, to be quite honest with you.
I do.
And I don't actually think, in all honesty, Alex, that is relevant, because I think...
Of course it's relevant. Of course it's relevant. Well, she wanted to crack down on it, and your party leader decided that was a bad idea and that she should be sacked.
That is in the past, Alex.
Doesn't matter, though, does it?
What we're seeing today is actually really, really important, and I think we should discuss it, because a couple of weeks ago I was on a panel here and we were discussing an anti-Islam march. 75-odd people who wanted to march in Tower Hamlet, not allowed to do so by the Met. And yet you see this. So that, to me, is the inconsistency which is really alarming.
Well, hang on, because the one in Tower Hamlets was going to be outside the Tube on on a narrow street where it would have blocked the access to the hospital.
No, hang on a second.
The hospital across the road.
Anna's
That's
right.
why they...
Anna's right. That's not true because
it went on in the
Focus
park.
shifts from protest to unequal
Right,
enforcement.
That's not true because
it went on in the park
Paul,
instead.
hang on a second, that's rubbish. Because
It's not rubbish at all. It's
literally
exactly
that
why
same day that protest was set to go ahead, there was a pro-sectarian march instead.
Well, that shouldn't have been allowed either on that crowded street outside the hospital.
But it was allowed. Why did the Home Secretary stop that and she stopped the other one? Why did the Home Secretary allow protesters to go outside of the stadium where the Tel Aviv fans were meant to be, but she stopped the Israeli fans?
Well, that's why the police chief has had to fall on his sword, quite rightly, because that was a terrible mistake.
The Met Police allowed a protest outside of a synagogue. Now, that shows two-tier policing because they would never allow a protest outside of a mosque.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Paul, you're saying these things shouldn't be allowed, and I appreciate that you agree with us. However, the government is doing nothing about it. They are sat on their hands. The Home Secretary talks, saying she's going to do stuff, and actually she doesn't end up doing anything. It's all just big talk,
Blocking
isn't
some
it?
protests but allowing others damages public trust.
Big talk, isn't it?
We have prescribed Palestine action.
One group. Where's the...
they're the ones that are doing the demonstrations, aren't they?
Your mates in the EU have already prescribed it, IRGC. That's normally when Keir Starmer acts when Macron's done something. Why hasn't he done it yet?
Well, I think that's what's good. Well, before next week, I bet
Why
you
is he just not? Is he not capable of making decisions? The Prime Minister. Has he got no leadership?
Arrests, Paul, how many arrests? These protesters.
There were hundreds of arrests.
Were warned
when they came
if
into
said
Westminster.
Intifada, they would be arrested. I hope they do, and I hope we throw the book at
Peter
them.
Tatchell was arrested yesterday for a sign. So I'm not going to repeat the slogan, but the slogan was on the sign, and he was arrested yesterday.
Well, there should be tens of arrests as a result of this.
I'll tell you why. This government is scared to offend the 6 million Muslims in this country.
Absolutely nonsense.
And they're scared to lose the votes. That is why they pandered to it. Our police force are fabricating evidence just so they don't offend extremist Islamists in this country.
What you're doing there, though, is dangerous because you're conflating people in this country who are Muslim with Islamist terror and with the
no, I'm not.
political
I'm our government
ideology.
Is scared of offending
because they're two different things. The Muslim vote does not support this either. They don't want to see Hezbollah on the streets of London.
Criticising Islamist extremism is not attacking Muslims.
The thing that I find most offensive was that chap at the end talking about the Ayatollahs and talking about the Iranian regime. Because
an English person, from what I can understand, by the way. Just for the record.
A lot of the demonstrators are exactly that woolly-headed Guardianistas, middle-class English people.
They are executing young girls in Iran.
Yes, they are.
Mahsa Amini was brutally murdered simply because she wasn't wearing the burqa correctly. It wasn't that she didn't have one on, she wasn't wearing it correctly. And the girls in Iran and the women have been so brave for 3 years. We should be standing by them.
Where are the human rights?
Turns to Iran's documented human rights abuses.
Where are the human rights activists that were so pro-Palestine, yet they don't want to even mention Iran because they don't want to cross the line and hopefully offend people? Zach Palansky is one of them. You know, he hasn't mentioned Iran from what I've seen on his X account. Why not?
Or Jeremy Corbyn.
Why not?
Yeah.
This is the problem, isn't it? We do have a big issue here, and I do really hope the Prime Minister, for the good of the country, gets to grips with it, because for all intents and purposes, it's running out of control, and prescribing Palestine action isn't going far enough. These marches are terrifying people, and I see this footage. This is not a London I grew up in. This is not a peaceful and multicultural society we were promised. This is a hateful society.
I've seen them. I mean, I've seen them up front, and they are terrifying.
It's terrifying.
They're allowed to mask up, Alex. No other marches are allowed to wear masks.
Quite.
These lot are. They're given free rein. Again, the police are cowed by these people.
It's totally bonkers stuff.
Some injustices receive outrage. Others receive silence.
Stuff. The Met Police have told GB News that it made 13 arrests during yesterday's Palestine Coalition protest, including a man in a separate clip that we didn't show tonight, but we did send it to them. Of course, we chose not to air it. Officers identified him in the crowd and he was arrested on suspicion of stirring up racial hatred. A spokesman for the Islamic Centre of England has said this. The trustees take all concerns about this centre very seriously. We're currently reviewing matters pertaining to the December 14th event, and in light of this, we are unable to comment further at this time. And the Charity Commission launched a full-scale statutory inquiry in the months following Mustafi's speech. A spokesman for the Commission added, as part of our ongoing inquiry into the Islamic Centre of England, we have raised concerns with trustees about material sold by third parties at recent events hosted at the charity's premises.
This is not a debate about whether protests should exist. Protest is a democratic right. This is a debate about whether the same rules apply to everyone. When symbols linked to banned organizations appear on the streets, that is no longer peaceful expression. When intimidation becomes routine, that is no longer political speech. If these behaviors are illegal, they must be treated as illegal every time, regardless of who commits them. If they are tolerated for some but punished for others, the law stops being a standard and becomes a tool. That's when people lose confidence. That's when fear replaces trust. And that's when society begins to fracture quietly. The footage you've seen isn't just shocking, it's a warning about what happens when consistency disappears. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more calm, fact-based analysis.